Los Angeles was still asleep. The city that never truly quieted down had finally paused for a moment. The street outside Kobe Bryant's mansion was hushed, wrapped in a gentle blanket of fog. And inside, the house stood still, as if it too had sensed something the world hadn't yet felt. Kobe's alarm didn't wake him that morning. He woke up before it, without reason, without sound, just opened his eyes. He laid there for a moment, listening, not to any particular noise, but to the silence. It was heavier than usual, like something was waiting. He sat up in bed and looked around. Vanessa was still asleep. The soft rise and fall of her breath grounded him. But there was something in the pit of his chest, an unease he couldn't name. He picked up his phone. No texts, no calls. Calendar reminder, practice with Gigi, 9:30 a.m. He smiled. That was enough to push the unease aside. For now, he slid out of bed, careful not to wake anyone, and padded barefoot down the hallway. The wooden floors creaked, familiar like an old teammate. At the end of the hallway, the morning light peeked timidly through the curtains, painting faint lines on the wall. And then something caught his eye. Near the doorway sat a pair of sneakers, small ones, purple and gold, and right on top of them, a folded note in glittery pen ink. Today I'm sinking more threes than you. You scared yet, old man? Gigi's smiling face with sunglasses. Kobe chuckled under his breath. He folded the note and tucked it into his hoodie pocket. He wouldn't tell her, but he'd keep it, probably forever. He walked into the kitchen, turned on the coffee maker, and stood silently as the machine began its morning hum. He wasn't thinking of basketball. Not titles, not points, not legacy. He was thinking about how fast time had moved, how it used to be diapers and bedtime stories. Now it was plays, drills, and inside jokes. How did they get here? The smell of coffee filled the space, blending with the slow dawn that was blooming outside. And then came footsteps. Quick, energetic, light. There she was. Gigi descended the stairs 2 steps at a time, already dressed in her warm-ups, her hair half-tied and wild. She was grinning. Morning, Dad. He turned to see her. Something about her presence always shifted the room. Morning, killer, he replied, smiling. She grabbed a banana from the counter and tossed it like a pass. Kobe caught it without looking. Still got it, he smirked. Barely, she teased. You're getting slow. They sat across from each other at the table, sharing a breakfast that wasn't about food. It was ritual. Kobe sipped his coffee. Gigi pulled her knees up in the chair and munched her cereal like a soldier preparing for war. You nervous? He asked. She raised an eyebrow. Nervous? Please. He nodded, pretending to be serious. I get it. Big game today. Going up against a Hall of Famer. Correction, she said, raising her spoon like a Mike, former Hall of Famer. Retired. Dusty. Kobe laughed, really laughed. The house, silent only moments ago, now echoed with the warm energy of father and daughter who knew each other's rhythm better than any opponent. But underneath his smile, something tugged at him. Maybe it was the way she had grown into herself so fully. Maybe it was just a father's quiet ache at how fast a daughter becomes her own person. Or maybe it was the stillness that lingered behind the laughter. He looked at her then, not just as a coach or a father, but as a man trying to freeze time. The way her eyes danced when she spoke, the confidence in her voice, the little gestures she didn't know she had. So much like him. He didn't want the morning to move forward, but it did. She stood up, rinsed her bowl, and pulled her backpack over one shoulder. You ready? She asked, already walking toward the door. Kobe didn't move right away. He was staring at her. The sunlight had shifted slightly, highlighting her silhouette. For a brief second, she didn't look like a child anymore. She looked whole, strong, complete. Dad, she said again, this time softer. He blinked. Yeah, just admiring the champion. She rolled her eyes, but smiled. Let's go. I don't want to be late for your defeat. As they reached the front door, Kobe paused, his hand on the handle, his back straight, but his eyes lost in the space between now and something deeper. Gigi noticed. You okay? Yeah, he nodded. Just a quiet morning. Without a word, she walked over and wrapped her arms around him. They stayed that way for a while. No phones, no clock, no words. Just the warmth of a hug that said everything it needed to. And then they opened the door. The cold air kissed their cheeks. They stepped outside, father and daughter, warrior and apprentice. The fog had thickened. The city was still asleep. But the house behind them held something now. A memory suspended in time. A final morning. A last conversation. And a silence that would never be broken. At the breakfast table, the kitchen had always been the heart of the Bryant house. Not because it was grand or glamorous, though it was both, but because that's where memories lived. It was a space of early morning grumbles before school, midnight snacks during movie marathons, and post-game breakdowns over leftover pizza. But that morning, it was something else. It was sacred. Kobe sat on the bar stool, one hand cradling a warm mug of coffee, the other flipping through a small notepad filled with half-written drills and sketchy play ideas. He wasn't really looking at it. His eyes kept drifting to the other side of the table, to the girl who was now peeling an orange with the concentration of a surgeon. Gigi sat cross-legged on the chair, wearing a WNBA hoodie that hung 2 sizes too big. But that's how she liked it. Oversized, cozy, and defiant, like she had a foot in both worlds, childhood and greatness. You ever think about the future? Kobe asked suddenly. Gigi didn't look up. I think about my shot percentage in the next game, she said with a smirk. Does that count? He chuckled. No, I mean where this all leads. Your life, ball, school, legacy. Now she looked up. There was something in her eyes, sharp, curious, present. I think about it all the time, she said, matter of fact. But not in a scared way. I just want to be ready. Kobe leaned forward. Her answer had struck something in him. You know, he said, when I was your age, I didn't think about legacy. I only thought about winning. Scoring. Proving. Gigi tilted her head. Isn't that what made you great? He paused. No, that's what made me relentless. What made me great was learning why I wanted it so badly. Learning that legacy isn't about what you take. It's about what you leave behind. Gigi nodded slowly. Then, with a spark in her voice. Okay, then here's what I want to leave behind. She stood, opened the fridge, grabbed the almond milk, poured it like it was part of a ritual. I want to be the first WNBA player that girls treat like you. Kobe smiled, but this time his smile carried weight. Like me? Yeah, like they wear my jersey, talk about my footwork, try to shoot like me on the playground, like you did for boys. Kobe exhaled, deeply moved. You will, he said, voice low, and he meant it, not because she was his daughter, not because he wanted it for her, but because he saw it, already present, already burning, that fire behind her eyes. Do you ever miss playing? She asked, sipping her milk. He raised an eyebrow. Every damn day. She laughed. Then why'd you stop? Because I had something better to train, he said, pointing at her. Gigi rolled her eyes. Corny, but I'll allow it. There was silence then, but it wasn't empty. It was full of knowing. Kobe reached into his hoodie pocket and pulled out the note from earlier. He unfolded it like it was treasure. Held it up. Today I'm sinking more threes than you. You scared yet, old man? Gigi grinned. I knew you'd keep it. I keep all your notes, he said. Even the one that just said, you stink, after I made you do suicides. I was 9, she said. And furious, he replied, laughing. Then his voice softened. You know, sometimes I wonder if I taught you the right things. She looked confused. What do you mean? I spent my whole life chasing excellence, he said. And sometimes I wonder that chase taught you enough about rest, about stillness, about just being. She put her cup down. The kitchen felt quieter now. You taught me to love something deeply, she said. And that includes myself. Kobe's throat tightened. It wasn't often that Gigi spoke like that, with a calm maturity that felt older than her years. He looked at her then, really looked, and he saw not just a player, not just his daughter, but a young woman on the edge of something great, Something beautiful and irreversible. Finish your orange, he said. We leave in 10. Already done, she replied, tossing the peel into bin with perfect aim. He stood, stretched, winced a little. Back sore, she teased. Your mom says it's age. I say it's from carrying the Lakers for 2 decades. She laughed so hard she snorted. As they gathered their things, Kobe paused by the doorway. Gigi. Yeah, I'm proud of you. Always. She stopped, turned. Their eyes met. I know, she said, but I like hearing anyway. That morning, the breakfast table became a confessional. Not dramatic, not planned, just honest. A father giving his daughter the last of his wisdom, not knowing it would be the last. A daughter reminding him that she was already everything he had ever hoped to be. The kitchen would remain. The chairs, the mugs, the notes. But the conversation would never return, except in memory, in whispers, in silence. In the car, the engine purred softly, steady, warm, alive. Kobe sat behind the wheel, his hands resting loosely on the steering. The windows fogged just slightly by the morning chill. In the passenger seat, Gigi was scrolling through a playlist on her phone, humming to herself, legs tucked under her like she was at home. Outside, the world still hadn't fully woken up. Palm trees blurred by patches of mist, and the sun was trying to break through a reluctant sky. Inside the car, though, everything was calm. Too calm. What song are we starting with? Kobe asked, glancing sideways. Gigi smirked. What do you think? Mamba mood, obviously. She tapped the screen, and a bass-heavy instrumental began to pulse gently through the speakers. Kobe nodded. Good choice. Set the tone. It always does, she said, leaning her head back against the seat, eyes half closed. It's like armor. He looked at her, really looked. The way her jaw clenched slightly when she focused. The way her fingers tapped out invisible rhythms on her knee. She was getting ready, not just physically, but emotionally, preparing to step into a version of herself she had built so intentionally. I used to get quiet before games, too, Kobe said. Really quiet. People thought I was being cold. Gigi turned toward him. Were you? He smiled faintly. Sometimes. But most of the time, I was just tuning out the noise, trying to hear the part of me that wasn't scared. Gigi was silent for a moment. Then she said, almost in a whisper, I get scared sometimes. Kobe didn't respond right away. He let the silence settle. Good, he finally said. That means you care. She nodded slowly. Do you think that ever goes away? No, he replied, but you get better at making peace with it. He looked at her again. You'll learn how to walk into a room and make fear sit down. Not disappear, just sit the hell down. Gigi laughed quietly. That sounds like something you put on a t-shirt. Kobe grinned. Hey, I've had worse ideas. They turned onto the freeway. The city was beginning to stir. Cars moved like veins across pavement. But inside their car, time moved differently. Sometimes I wish we had more days like this, Gigi said, her voice suddenly soft. Kobe's grip on the steering wheel tightened just a little. Like what? Just mornings, music, talking. No cameras, no rush. He nodded, eyes fixed on the road. Me too. There was a pause, but it wasn't empty. There was something sacred about a daughter being able to say that to her father, that she noticed, that she valued it, that these small, quiet hours mattered. Kobe reached over and turned down the music. What would you do if today was your last game ever? He asked casually, but his tone carried weight. Gigi blinked. Why would you ask that? No reason, he shrugged. Just curious. She thought for a second, then replied, I'd play like I had something to leave behind. Like people would remember how I moved, how I smiled, how I passed the ball. Like it wasn't just a game, it was a message. Kobe didn't say anything. He just nodded, lips pressed tightly together. That was the answer. That was the kind of answer you don't teach. You raise it. You nurture it. And if you're lucky, you witness it. They drove in silence for a while. Not out of awkwardness, but reverence. The way some people sit still during a beautiful song, not wanting to interrupt it, just wanting to be there. Do you ever think about dying? Gigi asked suddenly. The question didn't shock him. She was her father's daughter, unafraid of the uncomfortable. Sometimes, Kobe replied, but not in a sad way. She turned to him. How then? In a grateful way, he said. Like, every day I get to be here with you is already extra. I used to think greatness came from how much you win. Now I think it comes from how deeply you love. Gigi reached for his hand. He took hers in his, larger, rougher, but steady. They didn't speak. They didn't have to. The traffic picked up ahead. The arena was getting close. But neither of them was in a hurry. I don't want to be famous, Gigi said suddenly. Kobe raised an eyebrow. No, I want to be respected. He smiled. You will be, even if I lose sometimes. Especially if you lose and keep going. They pulled into the private entrance of the training facility. A security guard waved, and Kobe nodded silently. The gate opened slowly, as if the world was reluctant to let them in, as if time was trying to hold them back. Kobe parked the car. Gigi unclipped her seatbelt, but neither moved to get out. The moment hung heavy, almost like they both knew. Almost. I love you, Dad, she said without ceremony. I love you more, he whispered, his throat tight. She leaned over and hugged him, quick but fierce, then opened the door. Light spilled in. Cold air kissed their faces. And in that breath of wind, something unspeakable passed between them, like the end of a song you didn't know was your favorite, until the silence arrived. They stepped out of the car. Together, not knowing the road behind them had just taken its final turn. In the gym, Father coached Shadow. The door creaked as they entered the gym. It wasn't a glamorous arena. No spotlights. No screaming fans. Just a polished hardwood floor, the smell of pine and rubber, and the rhythmic hum of ceiling lights buzzing above. But to Kobe and Gigi, it was sacred ground. This was their temple, their language, their heartbeat. The gym echoed with silence, not the absence of noise, but the presence of intention. Kobe walked toward the bench, set down his bag, and rolled a ball toward Gigi, without looking. She caught it smoothly, already spinning it in her hands like it was an extension of her body. 10 warm-up shots, he said. She raised an eyebrow. Left hand, or right? He smirked. You tell me. She stepped to the line, dribbled once, and launched a clean left-handed shot. Swish. Kobe folded his arms. That's my girl. For the next 20 minutes, they didn't speak much. The sounds told the story. The echo of sneakers against wood, the snap of the net, the exhale before release. It was their dance. It had always been. Kobe stood at the free throw line, watching her from a distance. Her form was tight, calculated. Foot placement, exact. Elbow, tucked. Follow through, poetry. But more than the mechanics, it was the fire he saw in her. The way she moved with conviction, without apology. She wasn't mimicking him anymore. She was becoming her own. Stop, Kobe called suddenly. Gigi froze, ball mid-dribble. He walked over, took the ball from her hands, and pointed to the elbow of the court. Again, but I want you to land on both feet, not just the inside. She nodded, took the ball, reset, shot. This time, it bounced off the rim. She sighed. Kobe didn't flinch. Again. Shot. Rim again. Again. Shot. Net. He nodded. Feel the difference? She nodded, sweat forming along her hairline. It's more balanced. It's more you, he said. They moved into layups, then fakes, then footwork drills. Every correction Kobe gave was precise, firm, but never harsh. This wasn't a father pushing a child. This was a master guiding a student he respected deeply. And Gigi, she received every word like it was gold. During water break, she sat beside him on the bench. Do you miss it? She asked. Playing, he replied. She nodded. He was quiet for a moment. I missed the fight, he said. The war between doubt and belief. I missed the silence before the free throw. The noise after the three-pointer. I miss the smell of the ball, the burn in my chest during the fourth quarter. He paused. But what I don't miss is who I was when I didn't know how to stop. Gigi looked at him. You mean obsessed? He smiled gently. I mean lost. She was quiet then. I don't want to be like that, she said. You won't, he replied quickly. You're starting with balance. You have things I didn't. Like what? Joy, he said. You play with joy. You don't need to prove. You just need to be. There was a long silence. Then she asked a question slowly. Do you think I'm good enough? Kobe turned to her, fully. He didn't rush the answer. He didn't deflect with a joke. He looked her in the eyes and said, Gigi, you are the most complete player your age I've ever seen. Not because of your skills, but because of your spirit. She looked down. I just don't want to mess it up. He placed a hand on her shoulder. You can't. Not if you play from who you are. And if you fall, I'll be right there to help you stand. The buzzer echoed suddenly, startlingly loud in the quiet gym. Time was up. Their slot on the court had ended. They stood together, sweat-soaked and tired. But Kobe reached out, and they tapped fists like always. Same time tomorrow? She asked. He smiled. You already know. As they gathered their gear, Gigi looked around the gym. I love this place, she said. I feel like me in here. Kobe nodded. Then wherever you go, carry this with you. Not the building. The you feel when you're here. She didn't say anything, but he saw her eyes glisten just slightly. The kind of shine that comes from being seen. Fully, deeply, without noise. They walked toward the door. Just before exiting, Kobe turned back one last time. The court was empty now. Still, but somehow alive. He took a mental snapshot of the hoops, the marks on the floor, the echo of her laughter, and as they stepped into the sunlight outside, he whispered, mostly to himself, This is what greatness feels like. The locker room. Quiet goodbyes. The locker room smelled like hardwood leather and old echoes. It was clean, yes, but you could still feel the memories clinging to the corners. For Kobe, these walls whispered stories. Nights of victory. Afternoons of self-doubt. Laughter. Pain. Growth. Blood on socks. Tape on fingers. And now, it was hers. Gigi walked ahead, bouncing her ball slowly, each tap a heartbeat. She found her usual locker, number 2, and sat down with a sigh. Her water bottle clinked against the bench. Kobe followed behind, slower, more reflective. He wasn't just stepping into a locker room. He was stepping into a mirror of his past. And what he saw reflected back wasn't just a younger version of himself. It was someone better. Gigi unlaced her sneakers, wiped her forehead with a towel, and looked at him. You okay? Kobe blinked, then nodded. Yeah, just taking it in. She smirked. It's just a locker room, Dad. He half smiled. To you, maybe? To me, it's a cathedral. She rolled her eyes but laughed. There was something beautiful about how different they were, yet how much they understood each other, without needing to explain. Kobe sat across from her, elbows on knees, eyes distant. Do you know what I remember most about locker rooms? Gigi shrugged. The smell? He chuckled. That and the silence. Not the pre-game noise. Not the post-game chaos. But the silence before you walk out. That quiet right before you become someone else. Gigi thought for a moment. Then slowly, she nodded. I feel that. Like the space between who I am and who I'm about to be. Kobe pointed at her. Exactly. That space? That's sacred. That's the part most people rush through. She leaned back, arms spread along the bench behind her, legs stretched out. I like the silence, she said. Why? Because in the silence, it's just me, not the crowd, not the pressure. Just Gigi, ball, and breath. Kobe stared at her like he was seeing a star be born. She wasn't a prodigy anymore. She was a philosopher in sneakers. Do you think I'll make it? She asked suddenly. To the league? He paused. The weight of the question pressed against his chest. You're already made, he said quietly. She frowned. That's not what I meant. I know, he replied, but it's what you need to hear. She turned her gaze away, eyes fixed on the wall. I want to make you proud. Kobe stood up, walked over, and knelt in front of her. He placed both hands on her shoulders. Listen to me, he said. You already have. Every time you show up. Every time you fail, and try again. Every time you laugh after bad play. That's pride. That's legacy. That's love. Her eyes welled up, but she blinked it away. She was tough, but not too tough to feel. I don't know why, she whispered, but this morning feels, I don't know, heavier. Kobe looked at her. He felt it too, that sense that time was breathing slower, that every second was a thread stretching towards something unknown. He didn't say, don't worry. He didn't say, it's just nerves. Instead, he sat beside her and simply said, I feel it too. They sat there, shoulder to shoulder, in a room built for preparation, but now serving as a sanctuary. No coach, no cameras, no legacy, just a father and a daughter, both quietly aware that the moment was asking them to listen. Gigi broke the silence with a chuckle. Remember the first time I ever made you fall during defense? Kobe laughed loud. You pushed me. It was a legal push. It was an aggressive shoulder. You were slipping. I was not. They both burst out laughing. The sound echoed off the lockers like a celebration, like a farewell disguised as joy. As the laughter faded, Gigi leaned her head on his shoulder. I love this life, she said softly. Kobe closed his eyes. I do too. Then she whispered something only he heard. Thank you for choosing to stay home, for choosing me, for not needing to be anywhere else. Kobe felt his throat close. He wanted to say something, but nothing felt worthy. So instead, he reached into his gym bag and pulled out a folded towel. On it, stitched in purple, Gianna Bryant, Mama Mentality. She gasped, Dad. He handed it to her. No matter where you go, keep this in your bag. Let it remind you that you're never alone out there. I'm always with you. In the grind, in the silence, in the shot. Gigi hugged him, longer than usual. No jokes, no words, just breath and warmth and the sound of hearts trying to memorize each other. Outside, the sun had finally broken through. The sky was soft blue with streaks of gold, like a painting that was never meant to last, but somehow still hung on. Inside, the locker room stood still. Stillness that held love. Stillness that knew this day was different. Stillness that whispered goodbye, without saying a single word. Walking to the helicopter, between worlds. The door to the gym closed with a click. Soft, final. Outside, the morning light had shifted into something surreal, neither bright nor dull, but filtered through a haze of gold and gray. The air was strangely still, as if even the wind didn't dare interrupt. Kobe and Gigi walked side by side down the long pathway toward the helipad. They weren't in a rush. They never were. This walk, was theirs. Each step echoed slightly against the concrete. Kobe's duffel bag swayed at his side. Gigi dribbled the ball lazily between her fingertips, not bouncing it, just feeling it, like a heartbeat. The world around them seemed muted but alert, as if every tree, every bird, every cloud had turned to witness something sacred. Do you hear that? Gigi asked suddenly. Kobe paused. Hear what? She tilted her head. The quiet. It's so loud today. He smiled. That's life catching its breath. They continued walking. The helicopter, still in the distance, sat patiently on its pad. Its blades rested. Still, not yet summoned to move. Kobe looked up at the sky. The clouds were layered like brushstrokes. No clear blue, no clear gray, just in between. A sky in limbo. Gigi glanced at him. You ever feel like time slows down right before something important? Kobe nodded. Yeah, it's like the universe pauses, just long enough for you to notice the weight of the moment. She twirled the ball in her hands. Is this one of those moments? He thought for a second, then answered, "Yes, but not because of where we're going, because of who you are right now." They reached the edge of the pavement. From here, the path narrowed, a short incline leading up to the helipad. Each step felt heavier, not physically, spiritually. Kobe could feel something building in his chest. Not fear, not dread, just presence. He looked at her. Gigi was staring ahead, her eyes wide but calm. She looked like a warrior about to enter the arena. Not tense, not afraid, just ready. "You good?" he asked. She turned to him and smiled. "I'm always good when I'm with you." He felt it in his throat again, the tightening, the weight, the want to say more. But he didn't. Not yet. They passed the security gate. The guard smiled, gave a small salute. "Morning, Mamba." Kobe nodded silently. The nickname had once been armor. Today, it felt like memory. The helicopter door was still closed. The pilot stood nearby, talking into his headset. Behind him, the rotors were still. Everything was waiting. The air, the machine, the silence. Everything paused for them. Kobe stopped. So did Gigi. They stood a few steps from the aircraft, still outside the circle where the noise would soon begin. He looked at her one more time. And this time, he really looked. Her hair pulled into a tight ponytail. Sweat drying at her temple. Eyes lit but soft. Body relaxed but electric. She wasn't his little girl anymore. She was her own force. And yet somehow, still, his. "Come here," he said. She walked into his arms without hesitation. He held her, tight, not as a routine, not as a signal, but as a need. And she held him back. No words, no jokes. Just arms that knew exactly how long to hold. When they pulled apart, Kobe placed his hands on her shoulders. "I love you, Gianna. I know. You are my heart." She smiled. "You are mine." They stood there one more beat, in the space between breath and flight, between morning and memory, between what was and what would never be again. Then the pilot gestured. It was time. Kobe turned toward the door, held it open for her. She stepped in first. He followed, and behind them, the sky watched, quiet, still, unmoving, as if it, too, didn't want the moment to end. Into the sky, the final silence. The door clicked shut behind them. Soft, metallic, final. Inside the helicopter, it was quieter than expected. No whirring yet, no vibration, just a cocoon of stillness, a floating pause before movement. Kobe buckled Gigi's harness, gently, like he had 1,000 times before, like fastening a seatbelt before a road trip, like brushing her hair behind her ear on the first day of school. He double-checked the strap, then looked into her eyes. "All set." "All set," she nodded. The pilot gave a thumbs up from the front. The radio crackled. Instruments beeped. But in the back, where they sat, there was only breath. And waiting. Kobe reached for her hand. Not tightly, not nervously, just enough. She squeezed back, then leaned her head lightly against his shoulder. No words. No more stories. Just presence. The blades began to turn. Slow at first, like the start of memory. Then faster, faster, until the sound became wind, and the wind became sky. They lifted, gently, like a dream, like a page turning in a book you didn't want to end. Gigi looked out the window. The world grew smaller. The gym, the court, the street, their home, shrinking into a map of a life well lived. Kobe wasn't looking down. He was looking at her. The way her eyes reflected sunlight. The way her breath fogged glass just slightly. The way she smiled without smiling. There was peace in her posture. Not because she felt invincible, but because she felt enough. A voice crackled through the headset. Unintelligible. Routine. Distant. But in their cabin, nothing changed. Kobe rested his head gently against hers. A gesture too small to notice. Unless you knew the language of fathers. Gigi whispered, more to herself than to him. This is my favorite part when everything gets quiet. Kobe closed his eyes for a moment. So is mine. The sun broke through the clouds ahead, not violently, but gently, like light peeking through curtains in the morning. The helicopter sliced through mist, leaving behind a trail of vibration that nobody could hear, only feel. Inside, they didn't speak again. There was nothing left to say, only the things that live in stillness. Love, pride, completion, legacy. Gigi closed her eyes, not out of sleepiness, but trust, the kind of trust that only comes when the person beside you has held your world together, your entire life. Kobe looked at her once more, not as a coach, not as an icon, not even as a father, but as a witness to the rarest kind of beauty, one that knew its time and gave everything within it. The light outside the window began to shift. The sky turned pale gold, then white, then the noise changed. The air moved differently. The vibrations stuttered. A moment, shorter than a blink, longer than eternity. No screams, no panic, no chaos, just silence. Not absence, not emptiness, but a silence full of everything that had ever mattered. A silence so complete that it sang louder than any goodbye. And in that silence, Kobe held her hand and didn't let go. The echo that remains. They never came home, but something did. A stillness, a silence so full, it rang through the world like a bell that would never stop echoing. That morning, the sky closed gently over two souls, not with thunder, but with grace. In the days that followed, the world screamed. News anchors choked on air. Fans knelt in tears at murals that hadn't existed the day before. Jerseys draped over fences. Candles burned at courts where fathers now held their daughters tighter. But in one house, their house, the silence was different. Not loud, not angry, but intimate. Vanessa walked the same hallways. The kitchen still smelled of coffee. The gym bag still sat by the door. The note from Gigi still pinned to the fridge. Today I'm sinking more threes than you. You scared yet, old man? No one took it down. No one ever would. The breakfast table remained untouched for weeks. 2 cups still side by side. 2 chairs slightly askew. The imprint of a conversation that never aged. But grief doesn't ask for permission. It knocks down doors, floods memory, and paints every quiet room with colorless light. And yet, love stayed, not as noise, but as presence. At the Mamba Academy, they left their jerseys on the chairs. Number 24, number 2, side by side, coach and player, father and daughter, eternal teammates. The court was silent that day. Not a single ball bounced. But the air was filled with something heavier than sound, something sacred. In locker rooms around the world, kids whispered her name now, not as Kobe's daughter, but as Gianna, as legacy, as promise, as light that refused to fade. And Kobe, he became more than memory. He became myth, not the untouchable kind, but the kind built from love, sacrifice, and everyday moments. A breakfast conversation, a hug before a game, a hand held in silence. There's a gym somewhere where a girl picks up a basketball and hears his voice. You don't need to prove, just be. There's a father watching his daughter play, tears in his eyes, remembering the man who taught the world what it means to truly show up. There's a boy on a court at dusk, missing every shot and refusing to quit because Kobe didn't, because Gigi wouldn't, because love never does. In that helicopter, on that final morning, 2 souls didn't vanish. They rose, together, beyond the clouds, beyond gravity, beyond finality. And somewhere in the space between now and forever, they still walk side by side, ball bouncing softly, laugh echoing faintly, hand in hand, father and daughter, in a place where silence isn't the absence of sound, but the fullness of everything that ever mattered. They didn't say goodbye. They didn't need to, because love never leaves.